Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime, live from our studio here in Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up, this bulletin, 2 teachers arrested in the Central Region for attempting to smuggle in unanswered exams questions into an examination center in the ongoing BEC. Education Minister sets in motion processes to sanction heads of schools violating laid down procedures in the ongoing BEC. Also, a scrutiny of over 600,000 people sitting for this year's exams point to an increase in female candidates who would examine the data and tell you what exactly it is and what that means for the development of this country. Also in this bulletin, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbing disagrees with recent Supreme Court's ruling prohibiting traditional leaders from participating in active politics, as he describes the constitutional provision a means for selective justice.
You have prohibited them and say vote for others, but don't think that you can be voted for. And you call that rule of law.
The Omahene of a scattered traditional area, Nana Kobran Katia V, chastises Parliament for lack of commitment to conclude investigations into corruption allegations leveled against the House.
You all remember the story about this one big man carried money around to do, and everybody in Parliament was quiet. Why?
Also, NDC and their minority in Parliament demand immediate resignation of Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Addison, failing which they will march to occupy the central bank in 21 days. Now, it's the second day of this year's Basic Education Certificate Examinations, BEC, and already there have been a number of exam malpractice-related arrests, with the latest involving 2 teachers in the Central Region. According to the police, they attempted to smuggle into the examination hall some solved examination questions to candidates at the center. Let's bring you that statement as shared by the Ghana Police Service. Now, the statement indicates that they have the police on Monday, 7th August 2023, arrested 2 people for engaging in examination malpractices at the Dunko Secondary Technical Center in the Upper Dentra East Municipality in the Central Region. The 2 suspects, Albert Edu Jan and Yao Adadai, tutors of Pebble Calvary and Oxford Santec schools, respectively, were arrested when they attempted to smuggle into the examination hall some solved examination questions to candidates sitting the Basic Education Certificate Examination BEC at the center. The statement continues that items retrieved from the 2 suspects include 2 mobile phones and solved questions on 2 separate papers. Both suspects are in custody and will be put before the court. Would like to caution the public against indulging in examination malpractice in the ongoing BEC, as the police will arrest any persons found involved in such practices. Now, already the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Seduchum, has set in motion processes to sanction heads of schools violating laid down procedures in the ongoing exams. Speaking to our sister station at Dome FM, the Education Minister cites the Budu attack case where the headmaster, Richard Ehun Nyagbe, failed to register some pupils even though he took money from them, leaving them stranded at the start of the exams yesterday. He has since directed the GES to take immediate action.
Why exams? Say you're free. And the free senior high school. BEC a free. WASI a free.
WAEC exam is free and the free senior high school. BEC is also free. WASI is also free. I heard that a headmaster had collected monies from some candidates. The headmaster must have extorted parents of these people. I will meet with WAEC on it. Also, the Ghana Education Service will deal with him. We'll ask him why he collected the monies, because we pay WAEC directly despite the economic challenges, and nobody is supposed to pay. His matter is very serious.
Direct. For BEC, any wasi, or be our public school, be anyhow to your school fees, or to your registration fees. And the honor seven days so far.
Also on monies owed Ghana's exams body, WAEC, the minister assures that funds will be released to avert any crisis.
I met with WAEC yesterday. Last week we paid 40 million Ghana cedis for WASI. but it is a process. We will pay them.
To a rather sad story in the Ashanti region, a husband prevented his wife from writing the exams. One of the invigilators recounts the incident to my colleague Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Absenteeism has been a general trend at a number of examination centers in the Asokore Mampong and Oporiko municipalities. At the KNUST SHS and Kumasi Academy, at least 3 students at different centers under the school were recorded to have absented themselves. Their reasons for absenteeism are, however, yet to be established. Officials from the local Teachers Association have been monitoring the conduct of the exams in the area. General Secretary of NAT Kumasi Sub-Metro B, Theophilus Minta, explains a student was prevented by the husband to sit for the exam.
Some of them do not have reasons. Some of them, they have traveled abroad. Some of them too, they are married and then they don't want to come and write.
They are married?
Yes. Yesterday there was an instance that a lady is married and then the husband doesn't want her to come and write the exams, so she did not come. I also observed one lady yesterday that she was pregnant and also writing the exams, and that was recommendable.
With a perennial case of exam malpractice, some supervisors are convinced the recent serialization of the examination has helped address the misconduct.
This time around, we've not encountered that intimidation of teachers trying to come in and do whatever they want. You understand? So with the advent of the serialization, I think it will help. When we were at the university, we used to do it. Somebody is sitting by you, your question 1 is his question 8. So there's no need, action. You understand? So I think the serialization will help. The WAEC started it 3 years ago, but this year I think they've expanded it to cover almost all the people. So far, so good, and it's working.
Meanwhile, some centers are challenged with healthcare provision for sick candidates. Some supervisors explain they have to improvise in caring for them.
Yesterday, for instance, we had a student who had a severe headache, and then we promised to get them some paracetamol, but we couldn't get some. And then we had no one to send, so we got them something. I got the students some water to drink, a lot of water. Yes, the school as Kumasi Academy has a sick bay, but it's quite far from here. So if we had a first aid assistance here so that we could access it, it would be of great help.
In spite of the challenges, some students are positive of excelling after sitting for 2 papers in the past days.
It was okay. It wasn't above our level and it wasn't also below our level.
Science was not an easy paper, but it was okay, and there were some topics that I was able to answer, and it was easy overall. It was easy, yes, and I just hope I excel and do well.
It was question that we have been meeting in our mock, so we find it very easily. We know that we are going to get good grades because we have learned a lot. The science, the RME and the English, they were all good. We were able to write it.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Here in Accra, Jackie and Somayabua had interaction with some confident pupils.
So how was the paper for you today?
It was great.
No issues?
No.
What is that one question that you were expecting that actually came?
The reproductive system. I was expecting that question. I learned it throughout this. The time we were supposed to write the examination, I read and read because I saw that it was confirmed. So when I saw it, I was so happy, but I couldn't show it.
Okay. All right. What about you?
I was expecting density.
Okay.
But it didn't come.
It didn't come. But earlier you said everything was okay for you.
Because I knew the rest, so everything was great.
The papers were somehow difficult, somehow easy. Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was great. You see.
It was great. Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. You didn't encounter any issues?
For me, the questions are too cheap for me. See that thing.
The questions are too cheap?
Oh, too cheap.
Okay.
Oh, it was very normal and it was very good. Just like normal exams.
It wasn't difficult? What paper was it?
Integrated science.
Okay. And what about you? How was it?
Same. It was like normal examination. Well, it went good though.
Many issues. The way you said though, it means there's something there.
Well, before we started the papers, the invigilators were very strict, like
they scared.
Yeah, we were very nervous, but as time goes on, they told us we should come, we will be able to write it. So by the grace of Allah, we were able to face any challenge over there.
Now, the number of pupils writing this year's basic education certificate examination has seen an 8.8% increment over the 2022 entry figure of 552,276. But a close look at the figure tells even a better story. Now, out of the total of 600,714 candidates sitting for the exams this year, 300,391 are females compared to 300,323 males. Isaac Kofi Ejay is with our research desk, and he joins me in studio with a breakdown of the figures and relevant analysis and comparison. Kofi, first take us through the numbers and what they really represent.
Well, so the trend is already on the screen, beautiful trend, and it's a good news for those who have been empowering girl child education and all of that. Good news for the entire country because we've done a lot of investments to come to this point where we have more females being candidate than males. But you can see the change over the past decades. We are tracking from 2014 to 2023. This data was made available by EduWatch through WAEC data. So you can see in 2014, just look at the gap between male candidates, that's the deep red, and the female candidates, which is in the orange. The difference between male and female in 2014 was very wide. 52.9 of them were male, and then just 47 were female. Now, gradually from 2014, you can see the gap reducing, where in 2010 it reduced to a significant level, just 50 and then 49. And then finally in 2023, we saw the takeover, where females candidates are now more than males in terms of the BEC, candidates who are writing. And let's look at the next chart, which tracks the percentage change in terms of the total number of candidates writing the exam. And you can see this cyclical movement. It is only in 2022 that we saw a decline in the number of candidates compared to 2021. But in 2023, it is back at the level or the growth rate level, the average growth rate level of about 8% or 7%. And we see there a massive improvement, probably because of government's own, intervention, very intentional to bring in more girls, to make education free and some other things. But interestingly, you and I were discussing, let's look at the next chart. We were discussing, the number of students who were in KG and are now writing. Vast difference. If you can show that graph.
So those who started, those who are writing now, it's just estimated that they started KG in 2012.
Absolutely.
And we understand that some numbers probably have dropped off along the way.
Repeated, have left the country, died, so many factors. Okay. So there you have it. This is the estimate. So 2012 to 2013, this same number of students who are writing BEC, the estimate was that these over 90,000 of them were in KG1 in 2012. So we're expecting close to that same number to write BEC, but it's not the same. But we've explained that this could be that some of them have repeated, some of them have left the country, some have died, so many factors. That's why we have this significant difference between the number of students who had enrolled in KG1 in 2012-2013 versus those who are currently writing. But this number is still very significant because the growth rate between 2022 and 2023 is above 8%.
Interesting. So that's what we see on the screens there. Education consultants are worried that the number of pupils writing the exams compared to the numbers that started in KG1, as pointed out, indicate some people have really fallen off, and it has been reduced by a whopping 30%. So what accounted for that? Kofi has tried to bring in some factors. But joining us with some perspective is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us. First, what could be accounting for the rise in female numbers as we see this year?
Good evening to your cherished audience, and I'm happy to be here. Obviously, government has made girls' education a priority for some time now. And even before the Millennium Development Goals ended, girls' education has been the number one priority of government. So gender parity has been achieved since, I think, 2015 or so. And it's only natural you will see such results emerge as a result of lots of investment in girls' education, not only by government, by development partners, by NGOs, the media, parents, and everyone. So it is the cumulative effort of society to prioritize girls' education that has led to us seeing the level of increments in the participation of girls in BEC. And if you look at the data carefully, you also realize that between 2014 and now, over the past 10 years, the number of boys writing a BEC has increased by 70,000. Okay, but during the same period, the number of girls increased by 101,000. It tells you that it was a gradual journey of increasing their participation up to date. And we commend all stakeholders for this.
Now, you're worried about the numbers between those who started in KG some years back and those who are writing. Is it a deviation from the normal?
It is not a deviation from the normal at all. Because averagely in the past 5 to 6 years, the average gap between those enrolling at KG1 and the same cohort writing a BC has been about 34%. And this year is 33%. So it is just within the average. And we are worried. It's a historical trend. And we are worried because it appears that we are not appreciating the challenge the way we should.
Okay.
For that matter, we are never called the bull by the horn. And I am happy that the minister has expressed concern about the huge gap. Obviously, the possibility of dropout is the highest, probability. But my understanding is that the ministry is working around diagnosing the problem much deeper to find out who the drivers are, where are the territorial children, what the drivers are, and how can short, medium to long-term mitigating strategies be deployed. And we are ready to support the ministry in doing this. Our policy brief on the trajectory is the first step towards undertaking a tracer study, to better understand the dynamics, especially in the northern part of the country, where close to 45%, of people who started KD1 are not writing BC in some of the regions.
So before we even complete the study, what must happen to ensure that this trend changes?
Well, the first, which we all know, is the distance to school. In the northern part of this country, in OT and the 5 part of this northern regions, distance to school is a major cause of dropout. After distance to school, poverty. The reason why distance to school is a major dropout is because in about 60% of primary schools in the northern regions, there are no junior high schools. So if one completes primary school in community A, they have to commute for miles to attend junior high school in community B or C, where the nearest junior high school may be. This has created a gap where the highest point of dropout, up to 20% of children drop out between primary 6 and junior high school 1 alone in this deprived region. And so, for me, the first intervention, even before the tracer is to ensure that we achieve parity between the number of primary schools and the number of junior high school. And parity means that government will have to provide 4,000 more junior high schools. Because at present, there are 4,000 primary schools without junior high schools, and that's about 25% of the number of primary schools. For me, it will be the game changer.
Okay. Interesting. We all hope that things will change for the better. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Kofi Asare is Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch. To other stories now, and police prosecutors have today filed a fresh charge sheet in the Cecilia Dapa missing cash case. A key aspect of the case maintained in the new document is the ownership of $1 million and 300,000 euros said to have been stolen from the residence of the former minister. As you may be aware, the police have always maintained in court documents that these sums belonged to the former minister. The Attorney General's review of the document pointed out that the minister had told the police it was money belonging to a deceased brother that was handed to her for safekeeping. I'll interact with Richard Kunyako, a member of our legal desk shortly, but he was in court today and has come through with this report.
Accused persons were initially put before the court, but the prosecution indicated that they are amending the charge sheet, and so they amended the charge sheet to include others they have arrested. They, however, did not include the father of Patience Botwe, and so the father goes free for now. Now the prosecution's case is that they need more time to conduct their investigations, because after the last agenda they have been able to arrest 2 more persons. They retrieved 2 Honda Acura vehicles valued at 600,000 Ghana cedis. They have also located 4 houses, and so on the basis of that, a lot needs to be uncovered, and so the court should grant them more time. But the argument for the accused persons is that they have been in police custody for 1 month already, and some of them are lactating mothers. 2 of them, in fact, they are lactating mothers, where the children have to be brought to the police custody for them to be given breast milk. And so it doesn't augur well for the development of the child. It denies the children of bonding with their mother, and so based on that, the court should grant them some bail. And the court, based on that, decided to grant bail to the 2 lactating mothers and urged other accused persons to make a formal application for the bail. So the case has been adjourned to the 22nd of August 2023. Lawyer for 3 of the accused persons has been explaining what happened in court.
So their pleas have not been taken, and prosecution opposed the bail application, given the reason that they have not finished with their investigation and they are still ongoing, carrying on investigations. So in respect, however, the court granted A2 and A5 because they are lactating mothers. The court admitted them to a bail to the sum of 1 million Ghana cedis with 3 sureties to be justified. And the court further ordered that we filed a formal application for bail to be moved on the 22nd. I'm representing A5, A6 and A7.
From the courts, my name is Richard Kwejonya for Joy News.
Well, Richard joins me in the studio for a chat on this. Richard, first, let's talk about the ownership of the amount, as stated in the AG's advice and the police charge sheet.
So for the first time, the prosecution, they have split the money into 2, $800,000 and then $200,000, but they still maintain that all of these monies belong to the former sanitation minister, Madam Cecilia Dapa. And so they have not really abandoned that. You check the AG's advice to them, but the police are resolute in the fact that the 2 money combined, making $1 million, belong to Madam Cecilia Dapa.
No, earlier there was also an issue about the 7 suit belonging to the husband.
Yes. So in the new charge sheets, there is nothing like that. There is no suit that was mentioned. So it leaves us with some questions whether there was no suit at all or who actually stole the suit. And so the new charge sheet does not make any reference to the suit. And we also know that in court today, the father of Patience Botwe, you know, we've been talking about the issue of giving 50,000 Ghana cedis to the father. But in the new charge sheet, the father has been discharged by the court because nothing was said about the father.
Oh, okay. So he is no longer standing trial.
So the father is no longer standing trial. In fact, he was part of the accused persons that were brought to court. And so they were named one after the other. And so the court indicated that anyone whose name was not mentioned in accordance with the new charge sheet, it means that that person is not part of the trial.
Oh, okay. So how many people, you know, were brought to court?
So 7 of them. So Patience Botwe, Sarah, and the others, their boyfriend, and then the ex-boyfriend, and other people. You know, Patience and then Sarah AJ, they have been charged with conspiracy to steal and stealing. And the others, if you look at count 7 to count 13, they have also been charged with dishonestly receiving. And so one person is at large, has absconded, and so the police are looking for it. But if you look at the case of the prosecution, they are indicating that they should give them more time
to uncover more. As we heard in the reports that within the last 5 days, they've been able to locate 5 houses they suspect that the monies that were stolen were used to buy, and then they have also recovered or retrieved 2 Honda Acura vehicles valued at 600,000 Ghana cedis, and they have arrested 2 more suspects. So they want more time in order to conclude the investigation.
Interesting. Grateful to you for that reportage. That Richard Gunyako is our man who was in court for us today. Well, we will take a quick break here. We'll be back with more stories. Stay with us.
You have prohibited them and say vote for others, but don't think that you can be voted for. And you call that rule of law.
Welcome back from the break. Now, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has disagreed with the Supreme Court's recent ruling on Article 276, Clause 1 of the Constitution, which prohibits traditional leaders from engaging in active party politics. The Supreme Court, in a recent interpretation of the law, said although traditional leaders can endorse the policies of political candidates, they cannot endorse the candidates or put themselves up for election. Addressing a forum in the Western region to mark Parliament's uninterrupted 30 years democracy, Speaker Bagbin says the constitutional provision has only succeeded in preventing traditional leaders from participating in development.
And you heard it here, that elections to political office has now become public auctions, and money has taken center stage. Violence have been introduced into our politics more than we began. Worst of it all, the reflection or mirror or the representation of our culture and tradition has been hit hard with a constitutional provision against active participation of chiefs in politics. I don't understand what that meant. The Supreme Court have tried to explain it. Active participation. What is politics about? It's about development. What are chiefs and queens supposed to lead us to do? To develop. And then you have prohibited them and say vote for others, but don't think that you can be voted for. And you call that rule of law. Selective justice.
Now, speaking at the same forum, the paramount chief of Escado traditional area, Nana Kobenang Katia V, called out Parliament for the lack of commitment to conclude investigations into bribery allegations leveled against the House. Parliament came under intense criticism last year after there were claims that a wealthy businessman tried to influence some MPs to rescind their demand for the dismissal of the finance minister. Nana Kobenang Katia V says the delay in concluding the investigations questions Parliament's commitment to fight corruption.
The guys here, and probably the ladies, if anything has changed. That's why we are here. Nothing will change. In my dreams, I thought, we have look at the COVID thing that was done at the airport. Parliament should have probed. It's sitting down looking at me. We heard about the American thing. What happened? Parliament didn't do nothing. Certain things. The spirit of the Constitution must be maintained by Parliament. We, in region, for example, have been complaining we don't have representation in cabinet. And its Parliament should see to this, that spirit is carried on. The spirit of inclusion. We are looking for creativity. It is not the priests and the malams who hold the morality of this country. It is Parliament. They hold their ethics and way of being. If Ghana is corrupt, then Parliament is not doing its duty. You all remember the story about this one big man carried money around to do, and everybody in Parliament was quiet. Why? Nobody probed. We can't sit down and go on like this. We want to feel we belong. We want to see their ethics are there. We want to be brothers with everybody.
Nana Kobran Ketia the Faith is the paramount chief of the Escado traditional area. Now, accepting the shortfalls, MP for Lembele, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, urged the minority in parliament to uphold the national interest in its dealings.
Institutions that allow the public to have access to parliament and basically bring the media and other institutions to be parliament. On a daily basis since the 8th parliament, there has been a lot of changes that allow the public to have access to the people who represent them. And thanks to the leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker. We can clap for him. Whereas Parliament as an institution performs legislative, financial, deliberative, representational and oversight roles, much more is expected of the minority group beyond the argument that the minority proves to be to the people that they are trusted alternative to the government of the day. It seems conservatively the oversight role of Parliament that is reserved for the minority. The members of the minority are expected to question the acts and omissions of the executive, raise critical questions, demand answers, and hold government accountable. This certainly is an onerous task. And I'm proud to say that the minority in the 8th parliament has tried its best to ensure that the government is accountable to the people. From the approval of ministerial appointments to the approval of financial statements and economic policy of government, imposition of taxes, approval of loans, legislation, oversight, the minority has ensured that the executive is responsive and accountable to the people. Of course, there has been instances where some of the role that has been played by the minority has been questioned. And as we say in Parliament, the minority will always have its say and the majority will have their way. Indeed, many have questioned the consensus politics of the minority and why the minority seems sometimes to agree with the majority on issues. While we acknowledge the concerns of the public in this regard, let me emphasize that the minority in Parliament must show itself to be responsible and be able to act in the national interest.
Still in Parliament, the opposition NDC and its caucus in Parliament are sending fire the way of Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison for a recent report detailing severe losses made by the central bank in 2022. They have issued a 21-day ultimatum to the governor and his deputies to leave. The bank's financial statement for last year shows more than 60 billion cedis in losses, which the minority and the NDC put to the governor's incompetence. Kwekwa Asante reports.
Following the adjournment of Parliament, the minority are taking its war against the central bank governor a notch higher. Speaking at a news conference, minority leader Dr. Kesel Atufosin announced that if the Bank of Ghana governor and his deputies did not resign in 21 days, they will be mobilizing to occupy the central bank.
We in the NDC call for the resignation, immediate resignation of the governor of the central bank and his deputies within 21 days from today. We are resolved to embark on popular action to occupy the central bank and drive out the team of inept, callous, and criminally minded mismanagers of our finances to save the Bank of Ghana. We call on all of you that if the governor fails to act by resigning, you join us to march to occupy the Bank of Ghana in 21 days' time, to force him out and to force his deputies out.
The minority details the key reasons.
The report revealed the following astonishing facts. 1. The Bank of Ghana recorded a staggering loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of $6 billion US. This is twice the amount we are to receive from the recent IMF bailout. The NPP government chose the easy, reckless, lazy, and criminal path of printing money. Dr. Ernest Addison, who is now known as the printer of money, has conspired with members of economic mismanagement team, led by Alhaji Dr. Bawumia and the inept Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, aka One Program, One Bond, to destroy Ghana's central bank.
Atoforsen alleged that the central bank is aiding key government officials to illegally pack money to buy votes in 2024.
It is now obvious that many more members of the Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia government will likely be keeping several more millions of dollars in their bedrooms and building a war chest to illegally buy electoral votes at both party primaries and the upcoming general elections. Maybe it's not only Madam Cecilia Dapa who has kept some money in her bedrooms.
They also have a response for the central bank blaming the debt exchange program for the losses. So what will the NDC MPs do if the Bank of Ghana governor decide to still stay at post? Minority Chief Whip Gavins Kwame Agboja has some answers.
What will we do after the 21 days? They shouldn't try us. We have options, like we always say. Our options are in our head. They should not try it because we are capable of deploying options that will get him out of office by force if he refuses to go within the 21 days.
The ball is now in the court of Central Bank Governor Ernest Addison and his deputies, who have been given 21 days to pack bag and baggage and head out. Kweku Asante for Joy News, Accra.
To politics now, and as the New Patriotic Party embarks on the journey to select 8th flag bearer for the 2024 general elections, one of the 10 candidates competing in the Special Delegates Congress, Joe Gate, is confident of securing a spot in the final 5, paving the way for the main Delegate Congress later this year. A seasoned legislator and former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Joe Gate, comes to the race with significant contributions to the nation's development and is confident of leading the Elephant family into 2024.
I want to be president so I can bless the people of Ghana. And I will pray that God will bless me so that I can bless them.
As the ruling New Patriotic Party gears up for its Special Delegate Congress, former Railways Development Minister Joe Gate is intensifying his campaign to lead the party into the 2024 general elections. He says he is confident of being part of the last 5 to head towards the main Delegates Congress.
But be rest assured that God willing, I said be rest assured as God willing, as long as the sun rises and the sun sets, when we vote for the Special Delegates Congress, Joe Gate will be among the first 5.
During his tenure as a railways minister, he played a pivotal role in the construction of the railway line from Tema to Mpakadan, featuring a steel bridge over the Volta Lake, enhancing connectivity and trade opportunities for the nation. He says his background has equipped him with a deep understanding of the country's developmental needs.
In fact, everything that I've seen, everything that happened when I traveled for the past 5 days, everything that has happened to me since I joined this party in 1992 and set the party, has convinced me beyond reasonable doubt that I am prepared for this time, a time such as this, where we need a man such as me to rule the country and bring blessing to Ghana.
He believes his extensive experience and strong track record make him a compelling choice to represent the MPP in the 2024 general elections and serving as a source of inspiration for millions around the world.
I'm going to spend my time thinking about the fact that a teacher's son from nowhere has become president. I'm going to spend my time thinking about the hope it will give to people, to millions of people, millions of Ghanaians who come from homes such as mine. Somebody whose father died when he was 6 can have the audacity of hope. Without education, where would I be? I'll think about how somebody has been through public service for so long. I'll think about how God has prepared me for the occasion. I'm ready to go. I'm totally ready to go. That is what I think about every day, not about another thing.
With a focus on inclusive policies and developmental strategies, he envisions a future where every Ghanaian can benefit from the nation's growth and progress.
We will transform this nation. We together will transform this nation. we shall take this nation to the next level.
Amen. Oh.
Everything that my hand has touched, by God's grace, has been blessed.
Amen.
As someone with experience in the MPP flag bearership race, the Esikadoke 10 legislator has a message for the delegates.
The message to the delegates is that their candidate is Jogati. I'll be coming to them. I've gone to some of them. I'll be coming to each of them. And I want to assure them that by the time they finish listening to me, they'll come to the conclusion that there's one candidate, and his name is Jogati.
Jogati's bid to become the MPP's flag bearer is not merely a personal aspiration, but a commitment to serve his party and his country with renewed vigor. As the nation watches this process unfold, the question remains, will Jogati be the one to lead the MPP into the 2024 general elections and potentially become Ghana's next president? For Joy News, I am Samuel Kojo-Brace. You're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Time for us to bring you Showbiz. And Becky is here. Becky, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Let's talk about Shatta Wale. He hasn't been really active in the music industry. So recently we caught up with him. We asked him, what have you been up to? Are you coming back with some banger? Are you working on something? Here is Shatta Wale.
Well, I say Shaxi is keeping me, because I believe I'm doing like business now, and I'm into real estate and ride-hailing service now. So I believe that's why I'm not getting myself involved in the industry too much. But I'm there because people are still calling me for shows, even though I don't want to be booked, but I'm getting bookings. Well, new music, yeah, for the fans, of course. But the business now is more for me, just trying to build a legacy for the next generation to come. In terms of them enjoying good music and some good transport service too as well. Yeah.
You know, go show me nothing. Bring horse, I go bring my tortoise. On God, me, I promise. You go be there.
Well, let's move away from Shatta. Let's talk about multiple award-winning music icon Kojo Antwi. He has been honored with the keys to the city of Worcester in the USA by Mayor Joseph M. Petty. The presentation to legendary icon musician was done over the weekend in the presence of city residents and a host of thrilled fans of the maestro. The Ghanaian music, culture and tourism icon thanked the city of Worcester for the honor and pledged to continue spreading love, compassion, peace and harmony through his music whilst promoting the beautiful cultures of his homeland, Ghana, and Africa to the world. The key to the city is a symbol of civic recognition and gratitude reserved for individuals whose service to the public and the common good rises to the highest level of achievement. Congratulations to the music maestro. Also Showbiz.
All right, there's a guy by name MC Abeku Yama. He's celebrating his birthday today. He's watching you, so birthday to him. Abeku Yama.
MC Abeku, yeah. We love you, baby boy.
And on that note, we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Prime Business with Pius Kojo Baka. Please do enjoy the rest of your evening.